What's going on, everybody? This is Zach. I'm here with Brandon, and this is the RideAlong Sports Show, the best place to find all of your college football coverage, especially on the SEC. Brandon over there produces this thing. He has it going on multiple platforms. We're live on Twitch. We're live on YouTube. We're available on Spotify and Apple, anywhere else you can find your podcast. Brandon, how are you doing today, man?
I'm doing well, sir. How about yourself?
Oh, I'm doing good. You know what? It's getting cold outside. It's almost December. This is the last day of November. But you know where it's not cold? In the world of college football.
It's never cold in the world of college football.
I mean, there was a few answers I guess you could have gone there.
That's true. That's true.
The first one that popped in my head was hell.
Yes,
For some reason, but I was like, let's not go with
by
that.
default, that's
But
kind
now
of...
I've done said it. So yes, hell is a hot place, I hear. So anyway, yeah, the world of college football is on fire right now, man. From college coaches getting fired, some leaving, new coaches going to new places, transfer portal, college football playoff, what's going to happen to Michigan and all this legal battle. It's just on fire lately, and man, I can't wait to dive into it. We've got a new setup. We can do some cool new things. Hit us with something, Brandon, something cool. I know you're wanting to play with that new thing.
Oh, yeah.
Hit us with something cool right quick. Oh, wow. Y'all hear that sound effect? Even we can hear it because we have this cool new mixer.
That's right.
That
well,
Brandon
and see,
has.
also, say you make a joke like the...
like Ole Miss versus Georgia this year.
That's not where I wanted to go with that. But you look, you got to something before me. I would have said something different. We'll get into that later. We'll probably use that sound again. Look, it's okay. It's okay.
It was the first thing that popped into my head.
It'll be all right.
But anyway, man, we are pumped up. We've got new equipment. We're ready. This show is going to take off. We believe in it. And this is going to be the best episode yet, I have a feeling. Because we have some hypotheticals. Everyone loves a good hypothetical situation. Something that we'll probably talk about for an hour that won't even come true. But we're going to talk about it anyway. Playoff scenarios and situations. And we have a new segment tonight. Brandon, announce what that segment will be. And I'm going to let you announce it all night using this new sound effect. What is the name of that new segment? Hit us with.
The new segment tonight. Welcome, everybody. This is the new segment for RideAlong Sports. It is Public Opinions. That is where we ask the opinions of some random person out there in the world.
In the public, if you will.
In the public, if you will. They step right up to the plate, and we ask them what their opinions are, such as who's going to win the SEC championship game. And things like that. And hopefully we get some good answers. I don't know. We're live, folks. We're live and in color, and that's just how we like it here at RideAlong Sports. So stay tuned for that, folks.
So it is a live segment called Public Opinion. Basically, we are going to dial some random phone numbers and try to get 3 responses on who will win the SEC championship. Yes, you heard that right. We are calling random people tonight live on the air. No idea who these people are. Just going to ask and see what the public thinks. Who will win, Alabama or Georgia? And it should be fun. Should get some good reactions, hopefully. Hopefully don't have to use that new censor button that Brandon has too much. But we'll see.
It's here at my disposal.
All right, let's dive into some college football before the few people who actually listen cut us off.
Right, yeah.
So let's get into it. All right, man. We talked a few weeks ago. Texas A&M fired Jimbo Fisher. You know, I'm not going to rehash that whole thing. We both thought it was time. And they hired Mark Stoops for about 4 hours.
Yes.
For about 4 hours, Mark Stoops was the head coach of Texas A&M. But no, the head coach that they hired is Mike Elko. And Mike Elko comes from Duke, but he has familiarity with Texas A&M in the state of Texas. He used to be the defensive coordinator down there at Texas A&M, and the last 2 seasons he's been at Duke. And man, he's done an impressive job. When he got to Duke, Duke's not a football school. I mean, obviously they're known for basketball, but when he got to Duke, they were a 3-9 football team. But the last 2 years they've been bowling. And Duke at one point this year was ranked top 15, I know for a fact, and they beat Clemson game one, and
had game day.
Yeah, he's done a really good job and turned a Duke team. No, Duke's not a national title contender, but they're a bowl team, and that's saying a lot at a school like Duke, going from 3-9 and flipping them like he did. Look, man, just keep it short and simple. I like the Mike Elko hire. We actually had him on our top 5 possibilities for Texas A&M, I believe. And look, I know this isn't a take just that I'm coming up with. I've heard a lot of people say it, but they've had a lot of publicity and a lot of charades there the last few years with Jimbo Fisher. I think Mike Elko silences that. He's not a big, flashy guy. He doesn't have to be the center of attention, but he knows how to rebuild a program, and this is the best weapons he's ever had, man. Like, he's going from racing in the Daytona 500 in a Toyota Camry, and now he has been upgraded to racing in the Daytona 500 in a Hellcat.
Yeah.
Like, so, I mean, he's upgraded big time, and he did well with the Camry there at Duke. I mean, he finished in a respectable position, but now he's got the Hellcat. Now let's see what Mike Elko can do when he actually has good enough talent to win a national title. I think he's going to put his nose to the grindstone. I'm not saying they're going to win a national title, but on paper right now, I really like the hire for Mike Elko. He's a defensive-minded coach. Those always kind of hit or miss, but in the SEC, I mean, there's been some pretty successful defensive-minded coaches, Nick Saban, Kirby Smart, yada, yada. So I like this hire for A&M. What do you say, Brandon?
Well, you know, they had to get rid of Jimbo. That just wasn't working. And that was expected. I mean, he was on the hot seat. Some may say he should have, especially after that fiasco where he took that recruiting class and they won all of 5 games.
Yeah.
The biggest recruiting class in the history of college football. Mike Elko, I don't remember what number he was on our list. He was up there towards the top, I know.
Like two or three.
I think he was number 2. But I mean, it's a good hire. You get somebody that has experience at the, Power 5 level.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that I see, I don't know, I haven't really looked at his contract. I know he starts at a base of like $7 million.
Yeah, it has a lot of incentives though.
They're allowing a $11 million salary pool for assistant coaches and staff. That's going to be, I think, what's going to be really important. Like you said, he's a defensive-minded coach. Yeah. So who's going to run the offense? Because and where do they go? Like, what route do they go there?
You might be wondering, like, well, who was Texas A&M's offensive coordinator last year? It was half Jimbo because he was prideful and couldn't let go of the reins. But it was Bobby Petrino, who's back at Arkansas, and he's not allowed within 100 yards of any motorcycles. No, but Bobby Petrino is back at Arkansas.
Wait. Hold on.
Thank you. Bobby Petrino is back at Arkansas, and I'm not even going to dive into all that because there's so many unknowns. But, yeah, I like the Mike Elko hire. I'd give it an A-. It's very solid, great hire. It's not an A or an A+. Honestly, I think Mark Stoops would have done fine there, but, the fans backlashed, and they didn't want Mark Stoops because he, quote unquote, hasn't won the big game, or like, I guess some people think he's mid. Look, he has 2 10-win seasons at Kentucky. They only have 3 in their entire history. I think he's a good coach. I would have liked to seen what Mark Stoops could have done at Kentucky, at Texas A&M. But look, I think Elko's a great hire. He's familiar with Texas A&M and their weird culture, so good for him. But yeah, A-. And like you said, they gave a lot of money for him to hire assistants. He's going to have a good coaching staff. There's no way A&M's not good here in the next 3 years. Like, with the talent they have, the staff he's going to be able to bring in.
They were desperately in need of something. I mean, and the funny thing, when he was hired, they gave him the blank plaque with national champions and like a blank date. They really had expectations for Jimbo. He comes out of Florida State, and he wins with Jameis Winston at quarterback. I believe they beat Auburn.
Yeah.
That one season there.
Where do you think that plaque is?
Oh man, I couldn't imagine.
Like, it'd be hilarious if, like,
You think he took it with him? You know he still had it.
well, it'd be funny if, like, somebody went to a yard sale randomly in College Station and found it at a yard
That would be
sale.
so great.
I'd pay a lot
I would too.
just to
I would
have
too.
it. Anyway, let's get to the next hire. Mississippi State, Brandon's favorite team.
No,
Just kidding.
no,
But
no,
Mississippi
no.
State hires Jeff Lebby. Might sound familiar, especially if you're familiar with SEC football, or if you're familiar with the state of Mississippi. Jeff Lebby used to be the offensive coordinator at Ole Miss a couple seasons ago when they had Matt Corral, I believe. And Jeff Lebby most recently has spent the last 2 years as offensive coordinator at Oklahoma under Brent Venables. And he's really done a great job. He has an innovative offense, very high pace, very fast. Going to score really quick. It's exciting. It's fun to watch. Recruits like it, especially offensive recruits. The one real question around Jeff Lebby going to Mississippi State is, what will the defense look like? Who will he hire to be the defensive coordinator? That's going to be interesting, and that hasn't been decided yet. But look, I like this hire for Mississippi State. I've seen a lot of people saying, he doesn't have head coaching experience. That is 100% true. But here's the truth. At Mississippi State, you're never going to get the biggest, flashiest hire. You're never going to be able to pull in a Brian Kelly, a Lincoln Riley, one of these big headliners that we've seen move in the last few years. You're not going to be able to pull someone like that in. But what you can do is you can get a coach who maybe hasn't established yet, but if he hits and becomes a really great coach, you have him in your possession. For example, look at what Dan Lanning's doing at Oregon. This is only his second year ever being a head coach. Oregon kind of took a chance on him, said he's young, he's a defensive-minded coach, let's bring him in. And look, they're on the precipice of making a college football playoff. Kirby Smart, never been a head coach, hired at Georgia. Now I hear you. It doesn't work out nearly as much. But if you hit on it, you look really smart, and you're going to have a really competitive team.
You got another great coach in Mississippi State history, and Dan Mullen.
Yeah.
Dan Mullen coming from Florida.
Yeah.
I believe up to that point, I don't believe he had any head coaching experience.
He had been at Utah as a coordinator, and then at Florida. And
as an OC, Tebow.
Yeah.
Or at least part of his college career there.
But here's the thing, and you might hear that and say, well, he's going to leave. Yes, if Jeff Lebby pans out and is a great coach, he will probably leave Mississippi State after 3 or 4 seasons. But if you're Mississippi State, 3 or 4 seasons of 10 or 9 win football, I mean, that's worth it.
See, that's the thing. If you're leaving, then that means you're probably doing a good job unless you're getting fired.
Yeah, so I think
it is. You're proving yourself. You're making yourself more appealing to other, maybe bigger schools. So,
look, the absolutely worst thing that can happen for Mississippi State is that they're bad just like they were this year. But here's the difference. They'll actually be exciting to watch, even if they are bad, because they're going to score a lot of points with Lebby. He's already said they're going to address the QB room through the portal. He's going to get a transfer QB this cycle. And there's going to be a pretty big name QB, I feel like, that wants to play in Jeff Lebby's system. I don't know who it's going to be. He's going to attract offensive players. He's going to score. So even if Mississippi State's bad and they win 4 games next year or 5, I can guarantee you as a State fan, you'll have more fun watching that than what you watched this year. So to me, the downside's not really there. Even if he doesn't pan out, I mean, okay, hire somebody else until you hit it, like you get it right.
Yeah.
I like this hire a lot. I think State fans should be excited. Recruits on Twitter and stuff really seem to like the Lebby hire. Several recruits tweeting about it. People decommitting from Oklahoma that are possibly going to go to Mississippi State now. And like I said, the defense is probably not going to be good. But if he hires a good defensive coordinator, they could be decent. So look, if you're a Mississippi State fan out there, I like this move. I think it gives you more hope than what you had this year. I don't think you're going to get any worse.
That's a good way to put it. I mean, you think you could only go up from here.
Yeah.
That offense, obviously under Mike Leach, was innovative at a time, and it just
And it
never
ran
really.
its course.
Mississippi State was always, in what I remembered under Dan Mullen, a pretty balanced team.
Yeah.
They were good running the ball. They could pass the ball. Obviously, for a lot of those years, you had Dak Prescott, a multi-talented quarterback.
Nick Fitzgerald was really
He
good
was.
there.
He put up big numbers.
He's still running against Ole Miss in that Egg Bowl. He ran for the one where they didn't put his shoe on backwards.
Yeah, right.
The other one.
I was wondering where you were going.
The one
with that.
the year before that, I believe. But no, I like this for Mississippi State. I'll give it a solid A, not an A plus, but I'll give it a solid A.
I agree. I agree.
And man, the Egg Bowl next year might have a combined 150 points at this rate.
A lot more exciting than the one this year. Yes.
Yep. All right, so that kind of wraps it up for the new hires in the SEC. Arkansas, they did come out and say they're going to retain Sam Pittman, which that's fine. He'll be on the definite hot seat, probably the hottest seat in the SEC going into next year. But, if they want to give him another year, I respect it. I mean, he gave him a 9 or 10 win season, just 2 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, give him another year. If it doesn't work out, fire him. I mean, I'm fine with it. I know Arkansas fans aren't. They kind of want to go ahead and move on, but Billy Napier, he'll be on the hot seat going into next year. I think Shane Beamer won't be on the hot seat, but it's getting warm. He won't be fired next year, I don't think, unless they just win 2 games or something. But that kind of does it for the SEC coaching carousel.
There'll be plenty more to talk about that in the coming months.
Oh yeah,
and
coordinator hires.
Man, it's
transfer portals out of this world right now, man. Like, guys are entering left and right. KJ Jefferson's in. I'll just highlight some SEC guys. Yeah. KJ Jefferson, Will Rogers, both those QBs are in the portal. Juice Wells, who we had as a top 3 receiver in the SEC coming into the year from South Carolina, he's in the portal. That's a big one, a real big one. Guys, that's just the big 3 that I could list off the top of my head. There's a bunch of guys from the SEC in the portal. Anyway, Brandon, are you ready to get into these games and break them down like D-Generation X?
That's right.
Break it down.
I'm breaking it down. Yeah, let's get into these games. So we've reached Conference Championship Week.
Woohoo! Which is also sad at the same time.
It really is. Now, the playoff, and we'll get to the playoff in a minute. We'll get to the playoff rankings. I feel like we need to kind of talk about what's going to happen this week. But the rankings released Tuesday, as they have for
a while now.
The playoff rankings, the ones that unfortunately matter. But that's going to change. I feel like every week it's just a teaser, right?
It's just
the problem that I have with it, and we'll get to this later, is that from week to week, it's a recency. There's a lot of recency bias to that.
Yeah.
That's what really bothers me with the rankings now. I think some things are either going to work themselves out this weekend or they're not, and that's really all you can say about it. We're just going to be along for the ride, and as you folks are right here for RideAlong Sports as we get into the Conference Championship Week. We're going to start with the Pac-12.
Yeah, let me just touch on those college football rankings right quick.
Oh,
I think the big problem is no one knows the criteria. Which that's a big thing. The college football, they claim like we have very specific criteria. We look down, but like when they ask them specific questions, like why, they literally asked Buch, Oregon. They were like, why is Oregon ranked ahead of Texas when Texas has more impressive wins and has a harder strength of schedule? His answer was literally, Bo Nix has a 72% passing completion percentage. Yeah, good answer. So you're saying because Bo Nix is one of the front runners for the Heisman, Like, there needs to be a set criteria, and they need to be able to explain and back up their picks. Right now, they can't give a clear explanation of why they're making the rankings that they're making. And that's a problem. Like, I want an explanation. Like, if my team was to get left out, I want you to be able to explain to me why they got left out.
Yeah.
Don't just say some blanket statement, because that really makes it look like you don't know what you're doing. And then if you don't know what you're doing, eventually people aren't going to take you serious. Like right now, there are a lot of national people who don't take the college. I don't know if I take them serious, even though they determine the most important thing in this sport, which is who makes the college football playoff. I don't even know how serious I take them. But I will say it'll work itself out. Maybe this year's real convoluted, and we'll get into that. But let's get into it, Brandon. We'll start with that Pac-12, right?
Yes, that is correct, sir.
So Oregon is playing Washington in Las Vegas, Nevada. I think that's how they technically say it.
Yes.
In Las
Something
Vegas,
like that.
Nevada.
You better not say it any other way if you go there.
Yeah, so Sin City, Allegiant Stadium will host this game, Washington versus Oregon, and this is a rematch, Brandon, as you may remember earlier in the year. I think it was like week 4. It was pretty early in the year, maybe later than that. Yeah. But Washington wound up beating Oregon on a walk-off field goal, or either Oregon missed a field goal. I believe it was a walk-off field goal by Washington.
It was 36-33.
Yeah.
So they were trying
or either Oregon missed one to tie at the end. Something like that. It came down to a field goal. Washington wins 36-33. They're meeting again this time for the Pac-12 championship, and guess what? Whoever wins this time has about a 99.9% chance of making the college football playoff.
Yeah.
So whoever wins this wins the Pac-12 and gets in and has a shot to possibly go play for a national title. This is easily, it's not even close, the biggest game in both of these coaches' careers. Dan Lanning and Kalen DeBoer there at Washington. This is the biggest game in Bo Nix and Michael Penix's careers, easily. This is probably the biggest game in any of those players on either side's career. This is a big one. Oregon opened at a 9.5-point favorite, which seems kind of crazy because Washington beat Oregon by 3 points earlier in the season. And the casual football fan would look at this and say, why is Oregon favored over Washington? They have a head-to-head win. That's not how Vegas looks at things. That's not how this works. The better team doesn't always win. Right, Brandon?
Exactly right.
And
Happens
people
all the
don't
time.
get that through their head. You can lose a game and be a better team. There's
See,
so
I like
many
to say it like
examples.
this. It's about matchups in football. Like
Yeah.
sometimes that day the matchup is just, and certain things throughout the game happen. It's just the way it is.
I mean, you just think about it. One ball gets punched out or one ball gets tipped at the line of scrimmage and intercepted, and you lose the game even though you're a better team than them. I mean, football is literally a game of inches. Like, one little play here or there can completely flip an outcome. So I've seen people online talking about, Washington beat them. How is Oregon the favorite? This is just rigged. It's bonkers. It's not, people. Oregon on paper to me is a better team than Washington. What about you? Like, I agree with Vegas favoring Oregon in this game. I think Oregon is the better team.
I agree with that.
Washington's defense is the biggest concern. Like, they both have great offenses. Michael Penix and Kalen DeBoer there have done a remarkable job at Washington. They have a high-flying offense. Maybe probably one of the top 3 best wide receiving cores in the country there with Rome Odunze, Jalen Polk, and I can't think of the other old boy's name. But anyway, Washington, high-flying offense. Oregon, high-flying offense. The difference. Oregon's defense actually has a pulse. Washington, all right, I'm not going to trash them that bad. Washington's defense isn't terrible, but it's closer to mediocre than it is good. Where I would say Oregon has a good defense. Washington has a mediocre defense. Look, in this game, I'll go ahead and give my pick. I like Oregon to win, Brandon. I don't like Oregon to cover the 9.5, even though I think Oregon is probably about a 9.5-point better team than Washington. But I think with so much on the line, this game's going to be close. This is one of those games that even if you're not a fan, you're kind of sitting up on Friday night and you're watching, you're like, man, because you know this holds a lot of weight.
Yes.
I'm going to take Oregon to win. I'm going to take Oregon to win this game 35-31. Give me the Ducks 35-31.
35-31.
4-point victory there for Oregon. And they more than likely, unless absolute chaos happens, and I mean absolute chaos, Oregon punches their ticket to the playoff with a second-year head coach. Brandon, quick trivia. Who's the last coach in their second season to make the college football playoff?
To make the college football playoff, so that's pretty recent.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Sonny Dykes did it last year at TCU, but that was his first season.
In his second season.
It's Dan Lanning's mentor, Kirby Smart, did it the year that Georgia lost the Natty to Alabama in 2018. That was Kirby Smart's second season. Yeah. 2017, excuse me, not 2018. Anyway,
interesting.
Yeah. So
I should have got that.
Give me Oregon 34-31, or ain't that what I said? No, I said 35-31. Oregon 35-31. They win the Pac-12. They're in Las Vegas. What do you say, Brandon?
Well, if we just look at the odds on the Heisman Trophy, now I know odds are everything, right? Odds are king. Bo Nix is leading that right now.
Which he shouldn't be.
You don't think he should be?
Jaden Daniels deserves it.
Jaden Daniels. Well, you got to look at the competition. Look at the conferences.
Yeah, Jaden Daniels deserves.
Now they're both great quarterbacks, but Jaden Daniels, I've seen that guy do some things this year that are just near superhuman. I may be stretching that a little bit, but we're very close in our view of this game. We're very close in opinion here. I have them, or I have Oregon winning. They're not covering the spread. I don't see that. And I've got them 34-32, Oregon.
By 2
points.
Wow. 34-32 and 35-30. Look, and I do want to say on this show, me and Brandon did not talk about these picks pregame. Nope. We actually, yesterday, we were like, come up with your picks and we'll surprise each other. Right. So it is kind of crazy that it was that close in score projection, but yeah,
that's
so
how I see it.
Both taking the Ducks to make the college football playoff. More than likely, we'll talk about at the end after our picks. Maybe Brandon predicted pure chaos and Oregon doesn't make it, so we'll talk about that here in a minute. Brandon,
yes,
what game's next?
We've got the Big 12 championship game up next, and I want to just say a minute ago, going back to that, the Pac-12 game is on a Friday. It's going to be Friday at 7 o'clock. For those of you that wasn't aware of that, I believe that's probably Eastern time.
Yeah, probably. I'll be watching.
Yeah.
I think.
Yes, you watch.
I mean.
You're a busy man.
Yeah, I am.
You're a very busy man.
I should be watching, though.
But up next, we go to the next game here in our conference championship picks here, our analysis, our preview. It's the Big 12 championship game, Oklahoma State, Texas.
Battle of the Orange, huh? Anyway, Oklahoma
I thought the same thing.
Versus Texas. For some reason, me and Brandon, I don't watch wrestling anymore. Brandon's a big wrestling fan, but I'll go back and watch old matches. I love old WWE and stuff. You'll see how this ties in. When I saw the Longhorn logo, I immediately thought of Jim Ross, how much he hates Texas. And like he would go on rants, like when they were in Texas and would see Texas gear in the crowd.
Because he is a Sooner.
He's a Sooner.
Tried and true. He bleeds. Well,
Crimson, I guess. Red.
Something like that.
We all do, Brandon. I mean, really. Anyway, that was a side note. But Oklahoma State is playing the Texas Longhorns in Jerry World.
This game is 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m.
Right after
ABC.
game day goes off.
Yeah.
Or, big noon kickoff, whatever you choose to watch on Saturday mornings, because we know if you're listening to this show, you definitely are tuned in to college football. So Texas is playing Oklahoma State. look, I'll keep it short and sweet. I just think Texas is by far the more talented team here. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to win the game because we just talked about, sometimes the better team doesn't always win.
True.
And Oklahoma State can play all out. They have nothing to lose. Texas has everything to lose. If Texas loses, they're completely out of the college football playoffs. Even if they win, the way that the committee has ranked them, we'll talk about that. But even if they win, they're ranked 7th with Oregon above them. And it's going to be interesting to see if they make it. But they have a good shot if they win this game. I'll put it like that. They have a good shot. But, yeah, they're a better team. I don't think there's a single position other than running back that you look at and think, Oklahoma State has the edge. Oklahoma has the edge at running back with Ollie Gordon. That's probably the only place they actually have an edge. QBs, obviously, Quinn Ewers. Wide receivers, Texas. Defense, Texas. They're the better team. The spread on this game was like 2 touchdowns, I think. 14 and a half last time I looked.
Right now, it's 15 and a half.
Okay, it's going up. 15 and a half. Look, I'm going to take Texas. I think there's a lot on the line. I think Steve Sarkisian, the joke, Texas has been the run of jokes for years now. Texas will never be back. Oh, they're back. But I think this is where Steve Sarkisian and them, I'm not going to say Texas is back, but I'm going to say they win this one. This is a big game. Again, the biggest game of any of these kids' lives. They have a good shot to make the playoffs if they win this one. Give me the Texas Longhorns to win. I think all Oklahoma State can really do is run the ball. I think Texas' front seven's really good. I think they're going to put a stop to Ollie Gordon running the ball. I don't think Oklahoma State's going to score that many on Texas' defense, to be honest. I'm going to take Texas and take Texas to cover the 15 and a half. I think Texas is going to run away with this one, in my opinion.
Okay.
Give me Texas to win 41-17.
41-17. He's picking the Longhorns to win comfortably.
Yep.
Over the Oklahoma State Cowboys.
What do you think, Brandon?
Well, Texas is they're in a pretty good position. I think they are in a pretty good position, just like Oregon is. But Oregon's I think they've got a lot tougher of a matchup. Not to,
if you're listening to Oklahoma State, this is all the motivation you need.
Not to downplay. Look, bulletin board material right here.
Play this in the locker room, Mike Gundy.
Yes, some dude on some show, some podcast said the Oklahoma State Cowboys suck. Do whatever you have to do. Hey, make it a better game. He just used
the S word.
I did.
He went there.
Hold on. So, I don't think Texas covers the spread on this game.
Okay.
I think Texas wins. I think Texas they're a great team. They also have the edge. They beat Bama early in the year. There's been a lot of football played since then. And boy, we'll have a discussion about that when we get to the SEC championship game here. But I'm picking Texas 31, Oklahoma State 21. They win by 10 points. They don't cover, but they get the win, and they give themselves a good enough showing maybe to try.
Well, I was about to say, it's where it gets interesting, doesn't it? You only beat them by 10.
Because if you say, like you said, they're going to cover the spread.
And maybe the committee looks at it a little differently.
Just depends if chaos ensues. And that wouldn't be chaos. Chaos would be if Oklahoma State wins this game.
Yeah.
But chaos would either way if Texas wins this game, because then you've got, especially if you've got multiple winners, they're outside that top 4.
Yeah, like for Texas and Oklahoma, for Texas and Oregon, and even Alabama to an extent, which we'll talk about later, every point matters in conference championship weekend.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I don't know if. Man, these scenarios are crazy. We'll save it. I'll dive into all that. But let's get to the next game. I lost you for a second, Brandon.
ACC, we're going to do ACC next.
Okay, excuse me. Sorry. Maybe you meant to do that.
You're good. Yeah.
My bad. All right, ACC's next. Let's kick it on over to the Atlantic Coastal Conference. Or is it Atlantic
Atlantic Coast Conference.
Oh, that's my bad. Atlantic Coast Conference.
Yeah, that game is going to be. When is that game going to be played? 7 p.m. That's going to be 8 Eastern, 7 p.m. Central Time on ABC Saturday night. Number 4 ranked Florida State Seminoles play the 14th ranked Louisville Cardinals. I don't know. I mean, you've got a quarterback that's out.
Yeah.
I mean, that pretty much that put a hurt on Florida State. The funny thing about it, a lot of people says or have been saying, in the media that they shouldn't be number 4. They shouldn't be in the top 4 because of that.
They're not one of the 4 best teams. That's kind
because
of the
they're not
argument.
one of the 4 best teams. And in this game here, I mean, they're kind of vulnerable. Louisville's a good team. They're 10-2.
Coming off of a loss to Kentucky last week. Lost 38-31 last week. You want to go, or you want me to jump into it then?
I'll go ahead. I'll go first here. The spread is, I'm looking at it right now. It's Florida State 1.5 points. You kind of expect that. I mean, if Florida State is healthy, if you have Jordan Travis,
the spread's bigger.
It's huge. I mean, and they're on track to, probably play a Michigan, maybe.
Yeah.
If that would have worked out that way, that's how I probably would have saw it. With a Washington or Oregon probably being that 4th team.
Yeah.
But here they're gonna have a tough game. It's not gonna be easy. But I think they get it done. A narrow margin. But Florida State wins 35-31.
35-31 Seminoles.
I think they would be a cover of the spread. The spread is very low. But I think they get it done.
So this game's interesting. Louisville's coming off of a loss in rivalry week to Kentucky, an unranked Kentucky team. Upset the number 10 Louisville Cardinals last week. And, Florida State, obviously haven't lost all year, but they're coming in off an emotional comeback from behind victory over their rival Florida. They're down by 12 points at halftime. They came back and won. I think that plays a factor in this game. I think Louisville's got their back against the wall. If they would have beat Kentucky last week, they would have been 11-1, and if they beat Florida State for the ACC title, they have an outside shot. Would you agree they would have had an outside shot to make the playoffs?
Yeah.
Well, they lost. So that was their second loss. So Louisville's out, even if they win the ACC. I think that helps Louisville. I don't think Louisville has any pressure on them coming into this game. I think Louisville's coming off of a loss. They're probably mad about it. It's their rival, Kentucky, their in-state rival. They lost a close game to them. They're coming into this game playing the number 4 team in the country. A team that has aspirations to make the playoffs. I think Louisville wants to ruin Florida State's playoff chances. I think Louisville wants to beat them and knock them out of the playoffs.
Yeah.
I think that's what the committee wants. Because if Florida State wins, we have chaos. And I don't think the committee wants too much chaos. I think they want to have as easy as a selection as possible. And Brandon, the Louisville Cardinal are ACC champions.
Oh.
I think Louisville's going to do it. I think Louisville's going to knock off Florida State this weekend.
Okay.
I think they've got their back to the wall. All the pressure's on Mike Norvell.
That's
and
not
Florida
a crazy,
State.
really. That's not really a hot take.
Look, it's Florida. Louisville actually has a top 15 defense against the run this year. And what could Florida State do against Florida? Run. They couldn't pass against Florida with the backup quarterback.
Struggled
All they
with
had
it.
was the run game. Louisville knows that. Louisville's going to load the box. They have a great run defense, and they're going to try to make that Tate Rodemaker beat them through the air. Give me the Louisville Cardinal to win this game. I see it. It's a little low scoring.
Okay.
Give me Louisville 23-20. I'm going to call game-winning field goal.
Game-winning field goal. Low-scoring game. Just a grind.
And that eliminates Florida State
Wow.
from the playoffs, and Louisville knocks out Florida State. And, man, I think the committee would be very, very happy with that result.
Interesting. Well, we'll just have to see. That would sort some things out.
Yeah, that would help the
That would
committee
really
a
sort some
lot.
things out. Because we know the committee is, we know how good the committee is on sorting things out, right?
Yep. Great at it. All right, I guess the next
Remember
game.
the joke that I was talking about earlier before we started getting into the conference championships? I said I had another joke, but I was going to save it. The joke was the college football playoff committee.
I'm glad you got that out of your system.
Thank you.
You've been sitting on that for a minute.
Yes, I have.
Next, we'll go to the Big Ten Championship, and this is probably the easiest one to call out of all of them. It's Michigan playing Iowa in Indianapolis in Lucas Oil Stadium. Michigan, last I looked, was a 23.5-point favorite in their conference championship game, which is just nuts. I'm glad that there will be no divisions basically in college football anymore. Like I think every Power 5 conference has gotten rid of divisions. I like it. Why are you laughing?
So you're telling me, what is that, the Big Ten West? Or
Yeah.
is that how they do it? You mean you want to do away with the Big Ten West?
Oh, I know. Such a great, powerful.
I was looking at the records of the teams in that division earlier today. It's a powerhouse. I mean, I don't know what you're talking about, Zach.
Yeah, I mean, Northwestern Indiana. Whew, it's tough. Anyway, so
Okay. Yeah.
man, I ain't gonna just waste a whole lot of breath on this one. Give me Michigan to win. Give me Michigan to cover the 23.5. Michigan's, look, guys, I've told y'all for 2 weeks now. I predicted it before the season started. I said Georgia would play Michigan in the national title. Well, I don't know if I still feel the same way, but I know that Michigan is going to make the playoff. I've said it since the beginning of the year. They were one of my playoff teams. I'm going to say it now. Michigan's going to beat Iowa. Michigan's most physical team in the country. They run the ball really well. They have big, nasty linemen. They have a good defense. And Blake Corum's a monster. Iowa, they don't have an offense. I know this would be really funny if Iowa won because of all the cheating stuff, and I want Iowa to win, but it's not happening. Give me Michigan 31-3.
Whoa.
They cover. I don't think that's that crazy to say Iowa won't score a touchdown.
Well, I can't go back on what I said. I knew when I wrote this down. See, this was one of those games I was going to come back and I was going to edit my my score prediction. Michigan, they got the easiest game of the weekend.
Yeah. If you're watching this, Iowa, play it in the locker room.
Hey,
Let me tell you something. All of you Iowa football players, whatever. You are no good. You want to tell you something about Iowa?
Iowa, Zach. You want to tell you
What's
something?
that?
about-
It is if you took old college football film from 1940, 1950. You colorized it for the modern day, and that's what you showed on ESPN. That is what Iowa football is.
So you got Iowa win?
No. No. Michigan wins 42-17.
42-17 Michigan.
And 17, that would be a record. I mean, right? For them.
For Iowa,
For Iowa, like,
gotta
single
be close.
game.
Gotta be
I don't know how
close.
they're going to do
2
that.
touchdowns? Woo! That's asking a lot now, Brandon. You
Well,
might
hold
wanna
on
scale
now.
it back.
You know, there's it's probably not going to be a defensive touchdown. Now, they may run a kickback. And
Right.
then some crazy other thing happens.
Pick six.
Michigan decides with 5 minutes left in the game just to go to the locker room. They're just, all right, we're good.
I don't know if Iowa could score even if Michigan went on
Well,
the field. I mean,
I think you're onto something there,
it's been
bud.
tough on them. But
That's what I got for that. But hey, enough about that.
yeah, so let's get
Enough about
into
that.
the biggest, the baddest game of the weekend. And Brandon, I know I'm a Georgia fan, so I'm going to ask you. I don't want to be biased. I think this has potential to be the best game in college football this year. I think, which we saw a great one last week, Ohio State, Michigan, and Texas, Oklahoma earlier this year was great. Man, Auburn, Alabama this past weekend. I don't know if it could top that,
Yeah,
but
that was
on paper, like, this is the game I'm most excited for this year so far. But, I am a Georgia fan, so maybe that's just me being excited for the game. Are you excited for this one?
I'm very excited about this one. This one's always it's gonna be 2:30, 3:30.
No, 3.
Is it 3?
Yeah, 3 o'clock. Well,
2.
3 o'clock Eastern.
2 Central.
2 here. I believe. I'm almost positive.
If only we had multiple devices.
Let me just check. I believe it's at 3 o'clock Eastern.
No, I got it. I've got it. It is. You're correct. You're correct.
Or is it 4 o'clock?
It's 3 o'clock Eastern. No,
it's 4 Eastern, 3 here. I'm pretty sure, actually.
that's it.
So it's 3 o'clock Central, 4 o'clock Eastern. Sorry, we're not real smart.
No.
But Kirby is. Thank you. All right. Anyway, so, man, do you want to get into it, or do you want me to just go? Because I could say a lot about this.
Well, I'll start. How about
Okay.
that? And then we'll give you the floor afterwards. Georgia is the best team in the country. Obviously, I'm unbiased saying that. I still think they're the best team in the country. We see what they've done. See who they've played. Now, for Alabama has really, and now they've played some close games, such as last week versus Auburn, a team that lost to New Mexico State the prior week. And we didn't talk about that game.
I think it's safe to say that they completely, I don't think they did any type
I
of
don't think they did.
preparation for New Mexico State, but that's fine. Go ahead.
Well, a coach would be lying, every coach in these programs, if they said they don't completely just overlook a team and look towards them. They may say, like the coach speak, oh yeah, we're always ready for the next game and that game only. No, that's not the case. But I kind of did want Auburn to win, just for the simple fact that I said a minute ago. Hugh Freeze is the kind of coach to lose to New Mexico State, a team like that, and then beat Alabama, and not just the same year, 7 days.
Yeah.
But that didn't happen. Nick Saban always finds a way to win. What's the spread on this game? I want the spread on this game. It's Georgia 5.5. I've heard people say wrong team favored. I think that's just fine.
I think 5.5 is a good number. It opened at 5. And I saw it up to 6.5 yesterday. So it's going up a tad. But
Lad McConkey, is he going to play in this game? Is he good?
I mean, yeah, he's good.
He'll be in there.
According
Bowers,
to the message boards that I'm a part of, he's going to be good. Brock Bowers could have played last week.
Carson Beck. You got, everybody's healthy
the
for the most
person
part.
that might not play is Ra Thomas. Hadn't heard much on him. He had a foot sprain, but I don't know if it's going to matter too much.
But let me just say this. In Atlanta, Saturday, this gets settled. Georgia covers the spread. Lower scoring game. Georgia wins 24-17 over Alabama. They beat Alabama. They maintain themselves in the number 1 spot. And the playoff committee, they can't refuse to put an SEC team in. Georgia's going to take care of it. That's just how it is.
It's the bottom line because Brandon Taylor said
That's
so.
right.
All right,
and don't you forget it.
Let me roll. Look, man, I've been blessed the last 2 years to be a Georgia Bulldog fan. We have won national championships.
Do I know where this is going?
Probably not.
Okay, good.
We've won 2 national championships. We beat Alabama to win one, but Alabama beat us that year for the SEC title, if you might remember, in 2021. Last year, Georgia wins the SEC, but they never got a chance to play Alabama. They won the national title, killed TCU, if you may recall. 2 straight national championships, never been done before in the college football playoff era, right? I've wanted Alabama since last year ended. I want Alabama.
We're going to put you front and center here, sir.
I want Alabama. As a Georgia Bulldog fan, this is the game I've wanted from the beginning of the year. This is the time. Look, Alabama, they got a great team. Jalen Milroe, he has played absolutely fantastic the last few weeks. He can run the ball. He is probably the fastest quarterback I've ever seen. Like, he can outright fly when he gets going, and he's a weapon. He's dangerous. They've got a great defense, possibly a better defense than Georgia has. I think it's close, but I might give Bama the slight lean. Bama's secondary, best secondary Georgia's going to face all year. Likewise, on the other side, Georgia's secondary, best secondary Alabama's going to face all year. Both loaded in the secondary, the back half. Look, it's time. Let me paint a picture for you. It's WrestleMania 24.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
Wrestling legend Ric Flair has a retirement match against Shawn Michaels. And everyone knew what was going to happen. Ric Flair, he was Shawn Michaels and Triple H's mentor. He's close friends with them all. He chose Shawn Michaels for his retirement match. Everybody knew what was going to happen, Brandon. Everybody knew that was going to be Ric Flair's last match, even though it wasn't. It was if he loses, he retires. Everyone knew Ric Flair was going to retire. Everybody knew before that match started Shawn Michaels was going to win. But everybody tuned in. Everybody wanted to see it. Look, this weekend, everybody knows what's going to happen. These Georgia Bulldogs, they're hungry. Ric Flair is Nick Saban. He's the greatest of all time. Ric Flair's a 16-time world champion. Nick Saban isn't that many, but he's got a lot of rings. Kirby Smart, he sat under Nick Saban for so many years. Mentored, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
He went out on his own. He won a few. Yeah. He beat Nick Saban for a national title. But hey, a fluke happens every once in a while. It's still the Bama dynasty. It's still Alabama's SEC. It comes to a head on Saturday. It all ends. Ooh. If you remember the WrestleMania 24 match, Shawn Michaels grabs Ric Flair's head and he picks him up. He pushes him back. And he whispers to him, or mouths to him, he says, "I love you. I'm sorry." Oh. And he, sweet chin music, super kicks him, and he hops on top of him while he's crying, and he's hugging him, and he pins him 1, 2, 3. In Atlanta this weekend, Kirby Smart's going to pick up Nick Saban in the fourth quarter when Georgia's clearly ran away with it, and the announcers are talking about what the college football playoff field's going to look like. He's going to pick up Nick Saban. He's going to mouth, "I love you. I'm sorry." And he's going to kick Nick Saban's teeth down his throat. Georgia Bulldogs 38, Alabama 20. Woo. Dogs roll. SEC champions, number 1 team in the country, best team in the country. The Bama dynasty is over. The Dogs are in the house. It's the Dogs' time. They're rolling, trying to win a 3rd straight national title. The Alabama dynasty is no more. It's the era of the Dogs. And it'll be just like WrestleMania 24 when Shawn Michaels retired Ric Flair. What do you think about that, Brandon?
Wow. I knew you had something cooking there, sir. Wow. Well, I had an applause pad here, but I see it's not on here, so I'll just do this.
You like that?
No, I didn't like that, but how do you feel? How do you feel getting that out of your system there?
I feel good because I've been cooking that one up since a few days.
Oh, you cooked?
Oh, he cooked. Hey, one's going on the TikTok. That one right there is going. We're going viral on that one. WrestleMania 24, Michaels Flair.
When you said WrestleMania 24, I thought of that, and I thought of that situation where he's sitting there in the corner and he knows he does the little thing where he stomps.
Yeah.
And he's just like dreading it because he knows he's about to end the career of this legend.
That's what Kirby's going to feel this weekend.
But he's got to do it.
Look.
He's got to do
and
it.
And Bama will probably win, and I'll come on here like an idiot, but I'll face it. Alabama ain't winning this weekend. Don't let it fool you. Don't let that logo fool you. Don't let what they've done in the past fool you. Past results don't mean anything for the present. It's Kirby Smart, and it's the Dogs. They're the better team. He's the better coach right now. Nick Saban's still the greatest of all time, but Kirby Smart's in his prime. It's kind of like Old Yeller. Go put the dog down. It's hard to do, but
take him behind the woodshed.
It's what's best for him. So if you want to use the Old Yeller analogy, you want to use WrestleMania 24, all you need to know is from RideAlong Sports and Zach right here. It's Dogs on top. And Brandon, he agreed. He didn't go to the extent I did, but he agreed. Dogs.
Look, I got you back, man. Look, I feel this way too. I think there's a lot of talk. Hey, Alabama, they got this. I think they're gonna take care of this. They're gonna shock Georgia. They're gonna give them their first loss in 30 games, 31 games.
Something like that.
Multiple years.
Are you ready for our new segment? We've given you what we think. Zack and Brandon both think the Dogs roll.
Yes, absolutely.
But what is it time for, Brandon?
Well, step right up, folks. It is time right here at RideAlong Sports for our new segment. This is Public Opinions, where we call a random person in the world, in the whole wide world, and we ask them one simple question. What's that question, Zach?
What does the public think? And today's topic, Georgia versus Alabama, SEC Championship.
Step right up. Who is our first entrant here? We hope this goes well. And if it doesn't,
will I be able to hear them in my headphones?
You will be able to hear them. They will be able to hear us. And this is going to be some good live content.
I completely entered a completely random number. Brandon, confirm. I don't want to show it to the camera, but confirm that I do not have this number in my phone.
Yep, we're good.
Here we go.
Number you have dialed is unallocated.
The number I dialed is not available.
All right.
Let's try again.
We got nothing but time.
Your call cannot be completed as dialed. Please check the number and dial again.
Well.
Here we go.
The wireless customer you are calling is not available. Please try again later.
Guys, this is going to happen. I think I found a combo that worked. I just got it.
Unknown caller.
We're getting a call.
All right.
This is the RideAlong Sports live show. This is Zach speaking.
Hello, I had a missed call from this number.
Yes, we would like to ask you a survey question real quick. This call may be recorded.
Okay, what's it about?
Who will win this weekend? The Georgia Bulldogs or the Alabama Crimson Tide in the SEC Championship?
Man, that's kind of a trick question.
It's tough, I know.
I'd probably have to go with Georgia.
Going with the Georgia Bulldogs. You heard it here, folks.
Bulldogs.
Thank you, sir. Do you mind giving us your first name?
John.
John. Thank you, John.
Thank you, John.
So there was the very first pick in the RideAlong Sports show history of the public's opinion. You see, Brandon and Zach both went with the Dogs.
Yep.
John also
John
picked the
is
Dogs.
a team player going with the Bulldogs.
All right, let's see who we got next. Because we want to get three opinions just to, make sure that we're covering all of our bases. By the way, John, totally not his real name because it popped up caller ID. But hey, I appreciate him.
Yeah.
We're sorry. The number you're trying to...
Hey, number couldn't be reached. I found a combo, though. I just have to change up the last 4. Hopefully I haven't called this number.
We're sorry. The number...
Sorry, I am attempting to... This one, this is just a random area code.
Your call cannot be completed.
I've been using an area code near where we live. And, because I knew that was a valid area code. Now I'm just typing in random numbers.
Your call cannot...
If only we could go back in time. If only there was a book full of...
All right, it's ringing. Will they answer?
We're sorry. Your call cannot...
This is my number twin.
The number...
Very close to my number. Just 1 digit off.
I'm glad we got one.
We'll try just a few more times. This one's ringing. We'll see.
I'm sorry. The person you were trying to reach has a
One more,
voicemail
and
box.
if they don't answer, that's it.
You're going to have so many missed calls. Like, people are going to be calling you back left
That's
and right.
fine. I'm trying to get one that'll actually ring for our last call, just for some intensity. There we go. Will they answer?
We're sorry. You have reached a number that has been...
All right, that's fine. So we got John. The public's
Look, we got John. Look,
public's riding with the Georgia Bulldogs. Now look, we're gonna
John just has to speak for everybody. He has to speak for everybody. That's all we could get.
Look, we're gonna keep recording. That was a new segment. We had a lot of fun with it, but we're gonna keep recording here for the next few minutes. And during our outro, if we get a call, I'll answer it. But we might not get a call. But John, he said he'd go with the Georgia Bulldogs. He didn't have an explanation. A few words. He said, well, that's a trick question. Don't know what he meant by that because it really wasn't a trick question. But
in the words of John, that's a trick question. I'm writing that down.
But he gave us the Georgia Bulldogs. He's going to take in the SEC championship to get the dub. Thank you, John, if you're listening out there. We really appreciate you. And
that's a milestone. First caller.
First caller
of this segment, I should say.
Yeah. How are we looking on views? We got anybody watching anywhere? It's okay if we don't.
1 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Is our Twitch, we're up on Twitch?
We're on Twitch. We're live and in living color on Twitch. We'll be on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Wherever you find your favorite podcasts, it's probably going to be there. That's how we roll here in audio format. I usually try to put those up the same day, the night. I used to would put them up the next day. If I can, I'll do everything that I can to put it up after we do this show, maybe a little bit later, and obviously you can watch the replays of this show on our YouTube. Just go to the live tab. That's something that you got to remember. It's not going to automatically pop up. You go to the live tab, you'll see the live show in its entirety. And do so. Subscribe if you like what we're doing here.
And share everything. And we really think we have a good idea in our new segment, Public Opinions. We really like it, and we think it's going to be good tonight. You know, maybe next time we'll actually get a phone book and just dial some numbers that are actually valid. Yeah. But we did get one answer and several rings, and it was fun.
I'm proud of that one. I really am. Like that.
John.
Appreciate
him. All right, all you Johns out there listening, this is Zach, and this is Brandon. This is the Ride Along Sports Show, and it's conference championship week. I hope if you have a team in it that they win, unless you're an Alabama fan, and we will catch y'all next time. Peace.
See you. Peace. Have a great weekend, everybody. Woo! College football.